Fabled Heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The biting wind whipped at my threadbare cloak as I was dragged forward, deeper into the shadowed forest. The gnarled trees clawed at the sky, their branches skeletal against the perpetual twilight that clung to this cursed land. Today was the tithe. Every year our village offered its most desirable asset to the Dragon King. This year it was me, Alara, the baker's daughter. My sister, Lyra, sobbed behind me, her hand outstretched, but I had already accepted what was coming. Panic was a luxury we couldn't afford. Resignation was the only thing that kept us alive in the face of the seemingly endless horror of the Dragon King's reign. I had always known this day would come. I was young, I was healthy, and whispers had it I possessed a certain resilience that had marked me out within our close-knit village. We reached the clearing. Stone pillars, carved with writhing dragons, encircled a frozen lake. At the center, a raised dais of black obsidian gleamed in the dim light. It was here, in this desolate place, where the king performed his ritual. The village elder pushed me forward onto the dais. I stumbled, catching myself on the cold stone. My breath hitched in my throat as I finally looked up. He was magnificent, terrifying, not a monstrous beast as the stories painted, but a man, if you could call him that. His features were sharp, almost cruelly beautiful. His eyes burned with molten gold. He was tall, impossibly so, clad in armor crafted from obsidian scales that moved as if alive. The air around him crackled with power. Alara Veritas, his voice resonated, a low rumble that vibrated in my bones. "You are the tithe offered this year." I forced myself to meet his gaze. "Yes, your majesty." My voice was stronger than I thought it would be. He circled me slowly, his gaze piercing, assessing. I could feel the heat radiating from him, a stark contrast to the bone-chilling cold that permeated the clearing. When he reached the front of me, he reached out with one clawed, scaled hand and traced the lines of my cheek as light as a feather. "You aren't my sacrifice," he murmured, his golden eyes darkening. "You're my queen." My blood ran cold. Sacrifice, queen. I'd prepared myself for death, perhaps even something far worse, servitude in his castle. But this, I don't understand, I stammered. "Silence," he commanded, his voice hardening. He turned to face the gathered villagers, his gaze sweeping over them like a scythe. "Veritas has failed its tribute. You offer me a girl riddled with fear and resentment. You insult me with your weakness." A wave of his hand blasted a torrent of fire into the sky. The villagers cried out in protest. He turned back to me, his expression unreadable. "For decades, I've taken a resource from Veritas, a human, to serve as a political sacrifice of peace. I plan to continue that tradition," he said. "However, a single touch has changed all that." Picking me up into his arms, he said to the villagers, "She will be my queen. She will reign beside me. If you fail to give her the respect due, you will face my wrath. Now leave." The villagers, with their heads kept low, turned to march back to the village. Within a moment, it was just Alara and the Dragon King in the clearing. "What happens now?" Alara asked him. "Now, Alara, you come with me. You will learn everything you need to know about becoming a queen." The journey to his fortress was long and arduous. It was carved into the side of a dormant volcano, a monument to raw power and a testament to the king's dominance over the land. Servants, their eyes downcast, hurried to obey his every command. Life among the court was strange indeed. Alara knew that the king would give her any tangible desires she craved, but she wasn't longing for a dress, food, or comfort. She was longing for a reason for all of this. He kept me at arm's length, teaching me the intricacies of courtly etiquette, the history of his people, the delicate balance of power he maintained. He was surprisingly patient, even gentle, but there was always a distance in his eyes, a guardedness that kept me from truly reaching him. His name was Kale. He demanded to be addressed as Your Majesty in public, but in private he allowed me to call him Kale. Small mercies, I supposed. Why me? I asked him one evening as we sat in his private library overlooking the volcanic plains. "Why make me your queen? Surely there were others who were more suited." He didn't answer immediately. He rose and walked to the window, gazing out at the swirling smoke and fire. "There is a prophecy amongst my kind, a prophecy that tells of a human queen who will unite our people with the humans and bring balance to the land. I thought it was a fairy tale," he said, his voice low. "Until I touched you," I scoffed. "A prophecy? You base your decisions on prophecies." He turned, his golden eyes blazing. "You think I wanted this? Do you think I desired to be bound to a human, a creature I've seen nothing but disrespect from for decades?" His anger was palpable, and yet beneath it I sensed a flicker of something else. Vulnerability, regret. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months. I learned to navigate the treacherous currents of his court. I learned to anticipate his moods, to read the subtle cues in his voice and expression. I learned to respect his power even if I didn't understand his heart. One night, Kale summoned me to his chambers. He was sitting on a throne of volcanic rock, his expression grave. He had a visitor this night, which was unusual. "Alara," he said, his voice tight, "we have a problem." Before I could ask what his problem was, a booming voice resounded through the chamber. How dare you consort with the humans, Kale? Before me stood an armored dragon warrior, almost as tall as Kale, but clearly not the king. The armor was ornately decorated with gems, signifying nobility. The warrior's face betrayed anger and betrayal. The warrior approached Alara and grabbed her arm. You are nothing more than a tool, human. He is only going to kill you to get what he wants. Let her go, Kale commanded. I will not ask again, brother. Brother, Alara exclaimed, looking from the warrior to the king. The warrior laughed, ignoring Kale's command. You believe he loves you. You are a means to an end, I said. Kale's voice began to rumble menacingly. Let her go. Or what? His brother sneered. Before the brother could finish his sentence, Kale had already launched and began fighting him. The two exchanged blow after blow, each matching the other's strength. However, Kale was fighting with restraint, while his brother clearly wasn't. It didn't take long before his brother gained the upper hand and knocked him to the ground. Kale hit his head hard on the throne behind him, which dazed him for a moment. His brother turned his attention to Alara. Now that he is out of the way, let me show you what you truly are, he sneered. Before he could grab Alara again, Kale sprang to his feet and launched at him. But he faltered, clearly not recovered from the blow to the head. Kale's brother smiled as he grabbed him around the neck, strangling him. Any last words, brother? He said, squeezing his grip. Kale gasped for breath, but there was nothing he could do. Alara watched in horror as the king was killed before her very eyes, and she was next. Before Kale closed his eyes, he met Alara's gaze. A single thought ran through his head: run. Alara didn't need to be told twice. She ran from the chamber as fast as she could. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she had to get away from Kale's brother. This meant war, and I was caught right in the middle.